What if the very mistake you regret the most is not the end of your story, but the place where God's grace is about to speak the loudest? What if heaven has not erased your name, your calling, or your future? Stay with this message, because what you are about to hear can lift guilt off your heart, restore your confidence, and awaken hope you thought was gone. Listen carefully, because many people stop believing not because God stopped working, but because they made one mistake and allowed shame to become their final voice. There are moments when a single failure grows louder than every promise God ever spoke, and the heart begins to whisper, maybe I am done, maybe I went too far, maybe I lost what God had for me. That is how faith quietly fades. Not through rebellion, but through disappointment with oneself. Yet grace does not operate on human logic, and heaven does not measure destiny the way people measure success. Grace is not fragile, it is not sensitive, it is not easily offended by weakness. Grace is powerful, intentional, and relentless. Grace does not disappear when you fall, it steps closer when you are unable to stand by yourself. Many people think God walks away when they fail, but the truth is God draws nearer, not to approve the fall, but to lift the fallen. From the very beginning, God never chose perfect people. He chose people who would depend on Him. If perfection were the requirement, no one would ever be called. God builds purpose on grace because grace keeps the heart humble and the spirit dependent. When you look at your past and see regret, God looks at your life and sees potential still breathing. When you see error, God sees experience. When you see shame, God sees a lesson that can produce wisdom. The mistake you made may have altered your route, but it did not cancel your destination. God is not limited by detours. What feels like delay to you may be preparation in disguise. Heaven does not panic when you stumble, and God does not revise His plans every time you struggle. He already knew your weakness before He entrusted you with purpose. Many people misunderstand calling because they think it is fragile, as though one wrong decision can destroy it forever. But calling is protected by grace, not by human consistency. God does not cancel assignments because of weakness. He releases mercy to rebuild, restore, and realign the heart. If you are still breathing, your purpose is still active. If the hand of God is still sustaining your life, then His intention for you has not been withdrawn. Grace is evidence that God has not finished. Grace is proof that heaven is still invested in your future. Even now, while you may feel unworthy, grace is quietly working behind the scenes, softening hearts, opening doors, healing wounds, and preparing moments you cannot yet see. Shame tells you to hide, but grace invites you to come closer. Shame tells you that you are disqualified, but grace reminds you that God's love was never based on performance. Shame focuses on what you did, but grace focuses on who God is. When shame speaks, it speaks in final terms, but grace speaks in restoration. Many people stop praying, not because they stopped believing in God, but because they stopped believing God could still listen to them. They feel exposed, embarrassed, and unworthy, forgetting that grace is the very reason prayer exists. You do not come to God because you are strong. You come because He is merciful. You do not return because you are clean. You return because He cleanses. God's grace does not deny responsibility, but it refuses to define you by your lowest moment. There is a difference between acknowledging failure and building an identity around it. Grace allows you to repent without drowning in self-hatred. It gives you the courage to stand up again without pretending the fall never happened. Some people think grace makes people careless, but true grace produces gratitude, and gratitude produces obedience. When you realize how much mercy you have received, you do not want to waste it. Grace does not weaken holiness. It strengthens it by changing the heart from the inside. That is why God prefers restoration over rejection, transformation over punishment, and mercy over abandonment. You may feel today that you disappointed God, but disappointment does not exist in heaven the way it exists in human emotion. God is not shocked by your failure, and He is not surprised by your struggle. He knew the days you would be strong and the days you would be weak. He knew the victories and the setbacks, yet He still called you. The calling was not based on your flawless future, but on His faithful character. When God speaks purpose over a life, He speaks with eternity in view, not with short-term emotions. His grace accounts for your growth process, not just your current condition. Many people walk away from purpose because they believe the lie that failure has the final word. But grace always speaks last. Grace says your story is still unfolding. Grace says your usefulness is not over. Grace says the same God who lifted you before can lift you again. You may feel distant, but distance does not intimidate grace. You may feel broken, but brokenness is not a barrier to God. It is often the doorway through which His power flows. God does not waste pain. He transforms it. He does not erase your past. He redeems it. He does not deny what happened. He reshapes what it produces in you. If you allow grace to work, it will restore your confidence before it restores your position. God heals the heart before He reassigns the task. That is why this moment matters so much, because restoration begins when you stop running from God and start believing that He still wants you. Grace does not rush you, but it does not abandon you either. It patiently rebuilds faith, layer by layer, truth by truth, until you begin to see yourself not as a failure trying to survive, but as a child being restored. When grace touches your life, it does not just forgive your sin, it rewrites your future, revives your hope, and reawakens the purpose that shame tried to silence, reminding you that the God who called you is still calling, still restoring, still working even now, as you listen and realize that your mistake did not have the authority to cancel what God Himself began. There is a divine difference between conviction and condemnation, and understanding this difference can change the direction of your entire life. Conviction comes from God to restore you, but condemnation comes to imprison you. Conviction says, "Come back, you still belong," while condemnation says, "Stay away, you are no longer worthy." Many people confuse the voice of guilt with the voice of God, and because of that confusion, they run from the very grace that was sent to heal them. Grace never shouts to humiliate you. It gently calls to draw you closer. Condemnation makes you focus on your failure, but grace makes you focus on God's faithfulness. When you hear a voice pushing you away from prayer, away from hope, away from believing again, that voice is never from God, because God's voice always leads you toward restoration. Grace does not excuse sin, but it refuses to chain you to it. Grace does not say what happened was acceptable, but it says what happened is not the end. Some people think grace is weakness, but grace is the strongest force in the spiritual life because it has the power to lift a person out of guilt and set them back on the path of purpose. Grace is not permission to stay broken. It is power to rise again. When God releases grace into a life, He is not lowering His standards. He is increasing your strength. Grace does not remove responsibility. It restores relationship. And relationship is where transformation truly begins. Many people say, if God really had a purpose for me, I would not have failed like this. But this belief comes from misunderstanding how God works. God does not call you because you are flawless. He calls you because He is faithful. He does not discover your weakness after He calls you. He already knew it before He chose you. Your humanity did not surprise God. Your struggle did not catch heaven off guard. God factored your limitations into His plan, and that is exactly why grace is not an afterthought but the foundation of your calling. Without grace, purpose would crush you. With grace, purpose shapes you. When you repent, grace does not just forgive your past, it restores your authority. Many people receive forgiveness but never receive restoration because they keep punishing themselves long after God has released them. They say, "God forgave me, but I cannot forgive myself," not realizing that self-condemnation is another form of pride because it places your judgment above God's mercy. If God has declared you forgiven, then remaining in guilt is not humility, it is unbelief. Grace invites you to agree with what heaven has already decided about you. Grace renews confidence slowly but surely. It heals the inner wounds caused by failure, disappointment, and regret. God understands that restoration is a process, not a moment. That is why He does not rush you back into visibility before healing you internally. He rebuilds the heart before He reassigns the responsibility. He restores your identity before He restores your position. Many people want their calling back before their confidence is healed, but God in His wisdom works from the inside out. Grace is patient. Grace does not pressure you, it strengthens you. What you once thought disqualified you may become the testimony that strengthens others. God often uses healed wounds as ministry tools. The place where you fell can become the place where you stand with authority. The lesson learned through failure can become wisdom that saves someone else from destruction. Grace never wastes pain. It redeems it. It reshapes it. It transforms it into compassion, humility, and spiritual depth. This is why the enemy works so hard to keep people trapped in shame, because shame silences voices that grace intends to use. Many people quit too early. They leave the race not because they lost purpose, but because they lost perspective. They believed the lie that one mistake erased everything God had planned. They forgot that God's mercy is new every morning, not limited to a single chance. Grace does not operate on a one-strike system. It operates on covenant love. When God commits himself to a person, he does not withdraw his commitment at the first sign of weakness. He stays, he corrects, he restores, and he leads forward again. Faith begins to shift when you stop trusting your own strength and start relying on God's grace. Self-effort produces exhaustion, but grace produces endurance. When you try to earn restoration, you remain anxious. When you receive restoration by grace, peace returns to your heart. Grace teaches you to depend on God daily, not just when you feel strong. It teaches you to pray even when you feel unworthy, to worship even when you feel broken, to believe even when emotions are unstable. Grace anchors faith, not in feelings, but in truth. God's desire is not just that you survive your failure, but that you grow through it. Grace matures you. It deepens your understanding of mercy. It softens your heart toward others. People who have experienced grace become more patient, more compassionate, and more forgiving. They stop judging others harshly because they remember where grace found them. This is how God turns failure into fruitfulness and weakness into wisdom. If you allow grace to work, it will lift you out of self-condemnation and bring you back into divine alignment. Grace will remind you that your value was never based on performance, and your calling was never sustained by perfection. God's hand is still upon your life. His voice is still calling your name, and His grace is still actively restoring what guilt tried to destroy, drawing you out of hiding, renewing your courage, strengthening your faith, and leading you step by step back into purpose even now as your heart begins to believe again that God is not finished and never stopped working in your life. Purpose is not preserved by perfection. It is sustained by grace, and this truth changes how you see both God and yourself. Many people believe they must protect their calling by flawless behavior, but calling is not guarded by human strength. It is guarded by divine mercy. If purpose depended on perfection, it would collapse under pressure. But because it is upheld by grace, it endures through weakness, seasons of confusion, and moments of failure. God's calling is stronger than your worst moment. Your lowest point does not intimidate heaven, and your mistakes do not exhaust God's patience. Grace stands as the bridge between who you are and who God is shaping you to become, carrying you forward, even when your confidence feels fragile. When you return to God after failure, you often expect correction before compassion, distance before restoration. But God does not meet you with a reminder of your past. He meets you with mercy that lifts your head and restores your vision. Grace washes the conscience before it reassigns responsibility. It quiets the noise of accusation so you can hear God's voice again. Many people cannot move forward because their inner world is still shouting yesterday's regret. But grace brings silence to that chaos. It does not erase memory, but it removes the poison of shame attached to it, allowing you to remember without being imprisoned by what you remember. Your future is not blocked by what you did yesterday, but by what you believe today. Faith determines movement. When you believe God can still use you, your heart opens again. When you believe grace still covers you, courage returns. But when you believe the lie that you are disqualified, you stop trying, stop praying, stop expecting, and slowly withdraw from purpose. The enemy understands this, which is why he attacks identity more than behavior. He wants you to believe that failure defines you, because a person who accepts that lie will silence themselves without resistance. Grace invites you to rise again, not in arrogance, but in humility. It does not push you forward before you are healed, but it does not leave you on the ground either. Grace restores boldness gradually. It teaches you to walk again, step by step, trusting not your strength, but God's faithfulness. This is how God rebuilds people who thought they were finished. He does not rush them back into public success. He restores their private confidence. He repairs their inner conversation. He replaces fear with trust and replaces shame with gratitude. The enemy wants you silent, ashamed, and withdrawn, because a silent believer is no threat. But grace awakens your voice again. It reminds you that your testimony is not invalid because it includes struggle. In fact, your testimony becomes more powerful when grace is visible in it. God often uses restored people to reach broken people because they speak with compassion instead of condemnation. Grace gives authority not through perfection, but through authenticity. When God restores you, He does not hide your past. He redeems it, turning it into proof that mercy works. God's grace does not just cover you, it empowers you. Covering removes guilt, but empowerment releases action. Grace strengthens your spirit to obey where you once struggled. It renews your desire for holiness, not out of fear, but out of love. When you experience grace deeply, obedience stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like gratitude. You do not serve God to earn His love. You serve because you have received it. This shift changes everything. It transforms effort into worship and discipline into devotion. Many people believe their story is over because they associate purpose with uninterrupted progress. But purpose often includes pauses, corrections, and restarts. God is not in a hurry, and He is not frustrated by process. He understands growth takes time. Grace gives you permission to grow without despair. It allows you to learn without quitting. It teaches you that falling does not mean failing forever. Falling only becomes final when you refuse to get up again. Grace is the hand that reaches down, not to scold but to lift. As grace works in you, your vision begins to clear. You start to see opportunities where you once saw only loss. You begin to believe again that God can bring beauty out of what felt wasted. Hope returns quietly at first, then stronger with each step forward. Confidence is rebuilt, not through self-affirmation, but through trust in God's character. You realize that the same God who called you before the mistake is the same God calling you now, not with anger, but with patience, not with rejection, but with restoration. Grace realigns your focus. Instead of constantly looking backward in regret, you begin to look upward in faith and forward in expectation. You stop measuring yourself by your worst moment and start measuring God by His promises. Purpose begins to feel possible again. Prayer becomes honest again. Worship becomes sincere again. You stop hiding from God and start walking with Him. This is the quiet miracle of grace. Not dramatic at first, but deeply transformative. God's grace remains when emotions fluctuate, when confidence wavers, when progress feels slow. It remains steady, consistent, and faithful. It does not withdraw when you struggle, and it does not abandon you when growth takes longer than expected. Grace continues to work even when you cannot see results yet. It is shaping character, strengthening faith, and preparing you for what is next. Every day you choose to believe grace is enough, you move closer to alignment with purpose. You are not behind beyond recovery, and you are not broken beyond restoration. God's grace is greater than your regrets and stronger than your fears. The calling over your life is still intact, still active, still protected by mercy. As grace continues its work, it rebuilds courage, renews vision, and restores hope, reminding you that God's purpose did not expire with your mistake. His grace remains active, His call remains firm, and your journey forward is still unfolding even now as faith rises again within you.